Another fentanyl arrest, another new street poison no one saw coming, another family left behind with no investigation, no judgment, and no answers. This week, from border seizures to new compounds, from local arrests to global supply chains, the headlines tell a story bigger than crime. They reveal a system struggling to keep up while the poison supply keeps evolving. Before we dive in, if you care about truth, accountability, and saving lives, hit that follow button, subscribe, and share this episode. Your voice helps push for change, and every click helps more families hear the truth. I'm Doug Ballinger, Logan's dad, and this is Logan's Voice, News Edition. Each week, we cut through the noise to bring you the truth behind the crisis, arrests, toxicology alerts, and the stories that matter for families like mine, because silence is not an option. We begin in Wake County, North Carolina, where deputies arrested Lauren Olson, age 37, on September 30th, 2025, in connection with the fentanyl death of Matthew Godbold. According to court records and local reporting by WRAL, investigators say Olson sold the fentanyl that killed him. Deputies first responded to Godbold's home back on March 29th, where they found him unresponsive. A lab analysis later confirmed fentanyl as the cause of death. Olson now faces charges of aggravated death by distribution and felony sale and delivery of a Schedule II substance. This is one of those rare cases where an overdose death didn't end at the scene. Think about that. Months after his death, detectives followed the trail. They spoke with witnesses, reviewed phone records, matched evidence, and built a case. And that's what it takes: time, effort, intention. Because in so many jurisdictions, those steps don't happen. Families are left with a death certificate and no answers. That's why legislation should be enacted to require every suspected overdose death to be investigated as a homicide. Not because every case will result in an arrest, but because every life deserves a full accounting of what happened. Phones examined, evidence bagged, pills tested, dealers identified. That's not vengeance, that's truth. When I read about Matthew's case, I felt a mix of gratitude and frustration. Gratitude that someone cared enough to pursue justice, and frustration that it is still the exception, not the rule. Meanwhile, on the southern border, U.S. Customs and Border Protection released new data showing another sharp rise in drug seizures in August of 2025. The report highlights an increase in fentanyl powder, counterfeit pills, and methamphetamine, with seizures up across all major ports of entry. In some sectors, agents reported intercepting shipments large enough to represent millions of potentially lethal doses. Now, that might sound like progress, more drugs off the street, but let's look at the bigger picture. For every truckload seized, more slip through undetected. And when you're dealing with synthetics like fentanyl, it doesn't take much. Just 2 milligrams can kill an adult. A handful of pills can represent hundreds of lives. These aren't random busts. Agents are finding pills hidden in car panels, hidden inside baby formula containers, even sealed in fruit shipments. The traffickers are adapting faster than enforcement can respond. And that's what families never see in the headlines: the scale, the complexity, the machinery behind every so-called overdose. It's not one bad choice. It's an entire global economy of poison pushing through every loophole it can find. Border seizures matter. They're critical, but we can't stop there. We need legislation that ensures what seized gets traced, that every link in that chain is documented from source to shipment to street. Because when accountability stops at the border, the poison still reaches our kids. In San Francisco, medical examiners have confirmed the first fatal overdose involving medetomidine, a veterinary tranquilizer making its way into street supplies. The victim's toxicology revealed a mix of fentanyl, medetomidine, and benzodiazepines, a combination that suppresses breathing and heart rate so severely even multiple doses of naloxone can't bring a person back. The death occurred in February of 2025, and the report was published by the San Francisco Chronicle on April 10th. We're just talking about it because I just saw that article. Medetomidine is used by veterinarians, not humans. It's part of a growing pattern of animal sedatives entering the illicit market, following xylazine, which has already been detected in nearly every U.S. state. This new combination highlights a terrifying reality. Even when we think we understand what's killing people, the drug supply evolves again. I thought of Logan's toxicology when I read this. His report showed fentanyl and xylazine, but xylazine wasn't listed as a cause of death. That's how families lose clarity, because emerging poisons don't fit into old categories. That's why legislation must be passed that expands toxicology standards and investigative training. When new substances appear, every coroner, lab, and officer needs to know what to look for. Because what we fail to test for, we fail to see. And then in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, authorities announced 33 indictments on September 23, 2025. Concluding a 2-year operation that began with a single overdose death back in 2023. Investigators linked the death to a local trafficking ring, eventually uncovering gang ties, illegal firearms, and cartel connections. The operation seized over 5 pounds of fentanyl, multiple weapons, and nearly $200,000 in cash. This case shows what's possible when law enforcement treats death like a crime scene, not a statistic. When they follow the data, they uncover networks, and those networks destroy lives. If one overdose investigation can lead to 33 indictments, imagine what we'd find if every county in America treated overdose deaths in the same way. How many dealers would face charges? How many families might finally hear the truth? This isn't just accountability, it's prevention. Every case followed through sends a message: we are watching, we are testing, we are investigating. The stories we covered today, an arrest in North Carolina, a surge at the border, a new poison in San Francisco, and a massive takedown in Tennessee, they all connect. Together, they reveal the scale of the crisis and the gaps in how we respond. Some cases end in justice, others never get a second glance. This isn't about shaming families, it's about exposing the truth. Those aren't overdoses, they're poisonings. And until everyone is treated as such, this won't stop. We need comprehensive legislation, trained investigators, and labs equipped for emerging threats. Because the only thing more dangerous than the poison itself is the silence that lets it continue. If one of these stories moved you, share this episode, talk about it, and contact your state lawmakers. Ask them to support legislation that requires every overdose death be investigated as a potential homicide. And if you've lost someone, please know you're not alone. There's a growing movement of parents, siblings, and survivors who will not be silent. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't ever miss an episode. Every interaction helps push the story out to families that need to hear it. I'm Doug Ballinger. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent.